So today we're gonna install a fridge in the frunk of the Cybertruck. All right. All right, 10 millimeter. Yes, 10 millimeter. One, and right here. Let's turn off the outlets and mods. Turn off the power feed. Remove these guys. Twist and pull out. Pull that out. And now this can come out. So we're gonna look for a space here where the best place is to install this 12-volt socket. Right here, maybe here. I don't know about here because there's a second panel that goes on top of here. So, oh no, you have to remove this coolant cover. All right, good. So now we can remove this. We can remove this. And then pull out the frunk release. There you go. Pull that out. So now this is free to come out. As I look at this, I wanted it somewhere here, right? But you can't. There's a lot of, this thing is in the way here. I think, and then I don't want it too low. I want it up high. I think the best place is gonna be on this side because right there, you can see that there's plenty of space. If I put it there, for the wires. So let's install it right there. We can cover it up if we're not using it. And so we're gonna use a 1 1/8 Forstner bit. Here we go. Should be able to slip this right inside of this. Perfect. So that's what it will look like. We're going to put the nut on the other side, and that's what it looks like. All right, so let's talk about how we're going to install this 48 volt to 12 volt DC to DC converter. So as you can see, what I did was I used double stick tape or double-sided tape, and I took the DC to DC converter and I stuck it right here, right under the super manifold. So right underneath the super manifold, I just used double stick tape to stick it underneath here. And then you got two input wires, which is your red and your black. The red and black wire, you're gonna hook them up to the powered Frunk switch. So this is the powered Frunk wires right here. So when you pull this blue tape off, you're gonna have access to these 3 wires. There's a green wire, which has a black insulation on the end of it here. There's a red wire with a blue stripe, and same thing, it has some of this black insulation on the end. and then you're going to see a brown wire with a blue stripe, and that should also have a piece of black insulation on the end. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cut this black insulation off and then strip off a section of this wire to expose the wire. On the red wire, which is your plus 48 volts output from your Cybertruck, and then you need the ground minus 48 volts, which is your brown with the blue stripe. You have to strip that wire. All right, and then the red wire, or plus 48 volts, is it's a 18 gauge wire, and then the brown wire is actually a 12 gauge. The 18 gauge, the diameter of the wire is actually 0.04 inches, and if you measure the diameter of the 12 gauge wire, which is the brown wire, it's actually 0.08 inches. Yeah, so that's basically it. You just want to hook up your red wire to the red wire, or the input of your DC to DC converter, and then your brown wire, you're gonna hook that up to the black wire of your DC converter. All right, so if you wanted to see what it looks like on the back side of this DC to DC converter, it actually looks like this, except that this is the 240 watt version. I bought the 360 watt version. So you can see here the input is 36 to 48 volts. Red is positive, black is negative. All right, so that's your input, the two wires, and then your output is the yellow and black, which gives you 12 volts. This is the 240 watt version, so this is 20 amp max. I believe the one that I installed here is the 360 watt version, and it has a 12 volt output with a 30 amp max draw on that one. So that's what you want it to look like. You have your input going in, your 48 volts going in, and then your 12 volts coming out, and that's going to go over to your 12 volt socket. From here, from the connector, it is about 44 inches long. So 44 inches long should give you just enough length to install this outlet. 44 inches. So these are my two leads coming from the DC to DC converter. 12 volts coming out. And so here you go. I have an inline fuse. I'm gonna go above ground, and that way the fuse is accessible. There you go. Fuse is accessible. There you go. And oh yeah, perfect. Do is I'm gonna zip tie it right here. Just like that. So these are 12 gauge. These are 12 gauge. I bought 12 gauge. I added some wire connectors here. All right, so I connected all these wires together, taped these wires back down. You got your output yellow to the positive with the inline fuse. You got your negative going to your black wire, which is your negative 12 volts. So this is your output 12 volts. This is your input 48 volts. Red goes to the red wire, black goes to the brown wire. And then I just retaped everything. So everything's all wire nut. So now we can go ahead and test the power on these things. DC voltage. Let's turn on the power to the frunk. Outlets, power feed, turn that on. DC voltage, red goes to red, and black goes to black. There you go, 12.2 volts DC. We're in business. We're gonna hook this up and test the current. So black goes to minus, red goes to the positive terminal, and then what we're gonna do is plug in the refrigerator. Here's your refrigerator. All right, we're gonna plug this in and test this out. So positive. I'm gonna plug this in here, and then we're gonna connect our amp meter, DC amps. All right, we're gonna hook this up over here on the output. Let's do the output. Power feed to the front is on. 37 degrees Fahrenheit. We got 2 amps. That's on eco mode. That's pretty good. About 2 amps on that side. How about on the negative side? 3 amps, 2.8. How about on the primary side? So that's the output side. I'm getting about 3 amps max. On the input side, let's see how much we're pulling. Look at that, it's only 1 amp. 1 DC amp off of the positive. How about on the negative? 48 volts. It's not even 1 amp. It's like 0.3. All right, let's put it on max. It's still 0.3. .38 on the input side. 1 amp on the plus 48 volts. Let's do it on the output. Output is at 3.7 amps. 3 amps on the positive side. So we're pretty good. Our 48 volt power source is rated at 400 watts. 400 watts divided by 48 amps, or 48 volts, gives you about 8.3 amps. So you don't want to exceed 8.3 amps on your power feed. So we're not doing that. On your output side, see, maximum amps I'm pulling is about 3.5 on the positive, 4 amps on the negative 12 volts. Right? And then this is rated for 350 watts. I believe that's 350 watts divided by 12 volts, because that's 12 volts on the output side. And so that gets you, so that's 350 watts divided by 12 volts gives you about 29 amps on the positive. I think we're good. All right, so let's reconnect everything and we should be good. Right now we're gonna test the 12 volt socket with a higher wattage device. So I have an air compressor hooked up to the cigarette lighter socket, 12 volt socket. Let's see if this can handle that. So I know the output of the Frunk power is supposed to be 400 watts, which is about 8 amps. So let's see if it exceeds or if it cannot handle the 8 amps. So here's my clamp on amp meter. I'm gonna clamp it onto the red 12 volt wire. Right now it's reading DC amps, and so if you refer to the air compressor, it says that at 12 volts DC it should be pulling about 8 amps. Ooh, we're pulling 9.6 amps right now. 9.6 amps. Now it's at about 10 amps. So that's about 10 amps. That's on the output side of the DC to DC converter. Let's go check what the how many amps we're pulling on the input side of the DC to DC converter. Everything's hooked up. Let's see how it fits here. Boom. If you measure this from the top, it would be about 1.5 inches from the top, and then from the left would be about 2 inches. Stick it down here. It'll hold it in place, so there's no strain. All right, so here's the finished product. That's what it looks like when you open up your Frunk. The Astro AI, it's perfect in this spot right here. That's what it looks like. So I have the cord. Here's the cord right here. It goes to the back behind it. So the extra cord is hiding behind there, and then I fed it into this little groove or channel. Comes up, over, and plugs into the socket right here. When you're not using the socket, you can cover it up, but you always have a 12 volt socket here. Boom. So that's kind of nice. So it holds the cord in place, so this thing's just not jumping around. And the cord is nicely and neatly stowed away. So this is what it looks like on the inside of the fridge. I have a 3D printed container for cups that I printed on my 3D printer. And then let me show you what you could fit inside this cooler. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4 beers. I I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 waters. So you can fit 13 waters and 4 beers in here. What else do you need? So you always have cold drinks in the fridge wherever you go. And I noticed that it doesn't shut off unless you do a reset on the Cybertruck. So if you press the 2 scroll wheel buttons and you press and hold, I noticed that the this outlet shuts off, and you're gonna have to go back into the menu and turn on your Frunk power feed again. So far it stays on all the time. I don't know if it matters that you have your Sentry mode on. I always have my Sentry mode on, so I never have an issue. Right, guys, that's it for this video. This is how to install a fridge in the frunk of a Cybertruck. I used to have a 2021 Model Y, and I had the same setup. I wanted to make sure that I could also install the same refrigerator in the frunk of the Cybertruck. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for joining me today, and remember to please like, comment, and subscribe. And I have more content coming to you soon. Please check out my playlist. It's called My Car Modifications. And thank you for joining me. Goodbye.